The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode, I'm going to be giving you 24 pieces of life advice to celebrate my 24th birthday. Because yes, when this podcast episode goes live, it will probably be, it's the weekend before my birthday, so it'll be like a couple of days or a day before my birthday, depending on where you're listening to. Shout out to my Australian friends that kind of live in a weird, strange future, but not really. But yes, because I don't know if anybody else was like this when they were younger, but I used to love watching these type of videos on YouTube. I feel like all of my favorite YouTubers, they did videos like this, and now I'm at the age where I'm the same age that they were when they were doing these videos. And you know, I'm no guru, I'm no kind of like life expert, this is what you need to know psychologist, you know what I mean. There is those sort of people on the internet. That is not me. I'm just a 24-year-old gal. Well, almost. I'm still 23. I'm clinging onto it. I'm clinging onto it because I've realized that I am going to be entering mid-20s. I can't even say early 20s anymore because 24, it's a little bit too close to 25 than 20. So that's a little bit scary. But anyway, yeah, I'm no guru, but I've learned a few things over the years. I've got a bit of life experience under my belt. But anyway, before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Redpost. Redpost is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, and they also ship all over the world. And did you know that on a Wednesday, they do something called Win It Wednesday over on the Insta? So go and follow them. Go and check out their content because they've got some good stuff. And you never know, if you enter their competitions, you might be the winner of Win It Wednesday. Also, a little reminder that I will be at Redpost on the 23rd of August. If you want to come and say hi, come along to my meet and greet. For more information, check out my website, thisesme.com. And you can check out Redpost at redpostequestrian.co.uk. Anyway, let's get into today's podcast episode, because when I was coming up with these ideas, I was like, I need to sprinkle a few like light-hearted ones in there, here and there, because if not, this is gonna get quite deep. And you know me, I'm a light-hearted, positive kind of gal. The deep stuff, I don't want to get too deep, but a lot of them are when it comes to life advice. And so anyway, yes, there is a lot. Also, I came to the conclusion that because I have 24 of these that I've come up with, if I talk about each one for a minute, that's going to be a 24-minute podcast. I mean, I've already done the intro. I've already chatted a lot, so I have no idea how long this episode is going to be. So you never know. You might have an extra long one, or maybe I'll just rattle through them and you'll get the gist. I feel like I could literally, you guys know me, I like to talk. I could probably do a story for each and every one of these. So I will try my best to not ramble too much, but you know what? A podcast is for rambling. So starting off, I have my list, and I'm not gonna do these in any particular order. I've just kind of randomly plonked them on my notes app. So if I look at my phone, that is why. Starting off is it's okay to quit things. And you might think, Esme, that seems really negative. But I feel like we live in a world where quitting equals failure. But sometimes if you're walking along and you feel like you're going in the wrong direction, sometimes just pause, take a break, look at your map. Sometimes you might realize, oh, actually, I've drifted off in the wrong direction. This is not the direction I want to go down. And it's okay to take a different path. It's okay to change your mind. And it's okay to just stop and be like, you know what? That's not right for me anymore. Especially as humans, we're always growing. We're changing into a different person at all times. And sometimes you might be like, you know what? Past Esme or past me, that's the route I wanted to go down. But you know what? That other route, I think that's more my kind of direction. So, and then we also have worrying versus life events. This is just how I've like randomly written it in my notes app. This is a very relaxed podcast. That is because I often find Well, that's something that I've learned in the last couple of years, is that often we worry about little things, we worry about big things happening, we worry about all this kind of stuff, when actually the real tough things that come along, they're often not things that you worry about. They're things that just come along, slap you around the face, and you're like, I did not see that coming. Where did that come from? What's happening? So that is one thing that I would say, major life events or major things where like your life's not going great or something bad happens, they often happen on a random Tuesday afternoon. They're not some sort of big thing that you've been worrying about. It'll just happen. And you know what? Life is a roller coaster. You're going to have good times. You're going to have bad times. And the bad times, they slap you around the face. So there we go. Also, talking about worrying, you might be able to tell I'm a little bit of a worrier sometimes. I often find if there's something that's stressing me out or it's worrying me, I will ask myself, will it affect me in 5 years' time? Maybe I'm worrying about getting a video out for you and it might be 10 minutes late. In 5 years' time, am I going to worry about that one video that was a little bit late? Probably not. I'll probably have something else that slapped me around the face, future life problems that I'm probably worrying a little bit more about. So if there's something where you're just like, oh, this is stressing me out, or I need to get this done, just think to yourself, will I be worrying about this in 5 years' time? And if you are, then maybe that's something that you need to spend some time and think about. But a lot of the time, you probably won't have to worry about it. So rest is productive. Now, this is something I do need to tell myself a lot more, because if you listen to last week's podcast episode, I've been here, there and everywhere. I got a little bit burnt out. I was a little bit poorly last week because I was burning the candle from both ends and it was not good. So it's okay to have a lazy day. And I'm one of those people like, oh yeah, I'll have a lazy day at home, but I'll, do all these different hobbies and just chill. I know that rest is something that's very privileged. I know not everyone has the opportunity to rest, but if you do have the opportunity to, it's okay to rest. It's okay. It's good for you. And sometimes I find, especially being in a creative job that I've said before, so lucky to have, sometimes the days where I just don't do anything, like spend less time on your phone, don't do anything, I find I have the best ideas then. Like I always say when I'm swimming, because when I'm swimming, I don't have headphones, I don't have anything to listen to, don't have anyone to chat to, I'm just swimming alone with my thoughts. That's often where I have the best podcast episode ideas or video ideas. Or so sometimes, you know what? It's okay to be bored. It's okay to have a rest, and just they're actually the moments where you give your brain some time to think. Give yourself some time to breathe. And yeah, so don't feel guilty for resting. Don't feel guilty for resting. Next is trust your gut. This is something that I know a lot of people say, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, trust your gut. That's like very kind of, Esme, you're giving really basic advice here, you might be thinking. But if you think to yourself, this thing is not right, and every day for a month you go, this thing is not right, and you think about it at least once a day and you're like, this thing is not right, then it's probably not right. And a lot of the time we can be very good at going, oh no, it's okay, brush it under the carpet, that's for future me to worry about. Or you might be thinking, oh, like your brain might even kind of like think of excuses or think of things like, oh, it's not right because of this. If you're thinking for over a month every single day that this thing is not right, then it's probably not right. So that's what I mean by trust your gut.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
People will let you down, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, people aren't perfect. Your friend, they're going to mess up. Your mum and dad, they're going to mess up. You're going to mess up. And that is okay, because at the end of the day, like, obviously, if somebody does something to you and that is unforgivable, then set some boundaries. You know, some people, they don't deserve to be in your life. But people are going to mess up, and that you're going to mess up, and give forgiveness like you would want people to give forgiveness to you. So there we go. That also goes a little bit into my other one, which is kind of similar, and that is learn through your failures. It's okay to fail. I think we live in a world where, especially with social media being so prominent in lots of people's lives, where you see everyone living this perfect life, everyone doing everything amazing, and they've probably had failures to get to where they are, but they don't want to talk about them. They don't want to show them. They don't want to, you know, it's kind of like a bit weird if you're like, oh, vlogging, hey guys, I'm crying at night because this thing's gone really bad in my life, or like, oh, I've messed up, or people don't want to talk about that. They're like, no, look at all the success on my feed. This is how amazing I am. It's okay to fail. And you know what? When you start something new, you're going to fail. If you're learning to drive, you're probably going to stall the car. If you're learning to ride a horse, you're probably going to fall off. But everyone starts somewhere. You know, Olympic gymnasts, they've probably fallen, if they, I don't know, I used to do gymnastics back in the day, but I haven't done for a long time. They've probably fallen off the beam. They've probably messed up their tumbles, you know, and everyone's got to start somewhere. Everyone starts at level 0, and it takes time to build that up. And somebody who is a professional or amazing at something, like when I watch new content creators come along, I don't think, oh, that's super cringe. Oh, that's really bad. I just think, oh, they're learning. They're getting there. They're putting themselves out there. And you know what? I'm proud of them for putting themselves out there. So don't feel weird or bad or disheartened when you start something new and you're not perfect at it, because you're not going to be perfect. Because perfect also does not exist. So don't feel afraid to fail, because that's sometimes how you learn the most. And I tell you what, I have made lots of different mistakes in my career and done lots of different things wrong, but I'm still standing. So life is too short to beat around the bush. Now, this is something that I've kind of learned in the last couple of years, or maybe even the last year. Now, I'm not one of those people, like, you might be thinking, Esme, this sounds a little bit like you, I don't know, sassy, or I don't want people to think like I just come up to people and be like, meh, I'm not happy about this kind of thing. But I think often honesty, like, is the best policy. And I know all these quotes sound like they're supposed to be on some cringe Pinterest board, like, Esme, where have you got these from? Like, but I feel like the explanation makes these a little bit better. But this is something that I'm a little bit of a people pleaser. And often if somebody's done something wrong that makes me feel a little bit weird or a little bit uncomfortable, I'd probably just like let it go. I think in scenarios in the past, I've always kind of like just let things go, when actually I think it's sometimes better to just talk about things and be honest. Because if I mess up, I would much rather my friend come up to me and be like, hey, I really appreciate our friendship, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I don't want it to affect our friendship, and just say, hey, you did this thing, it made me a little bit uncomfortable, I didn't like it, I just wanted to let you know, because if I ever did something that, you know, made you feel uncomfortable or you didn't like, I would want to tell you. And I think that's so much better than, I think a very girl way of dealing with things is just being like slightly off with someone, not saying why, the other person doesn't really know. And I know that some people will be like, well, they should know that if they've wronged you or that kind of thing. But honestly, some people, they don't really realise these things, or maybe it was a mistake, or they don't really want to talk about it because they feel guilty because they did something slightly wrong. Just talk about it. Just be like, hey, I really appreciate our friendship. You did this thing that really hurt me, or I didn't like it. Can we just talk about it, because I appreciate our friendship. And if I did something like that to you, I would want you to call me out. And I think that's a really mature way of talking about things. And I think when you get older, you kind of realise. And then often I find after you've had a little chat about something like that and you talk about it in a really mature way, you don't raise your voice, you don't get angry, you just say, hey, can we just chat about this thing? I often feel like you feel your friendship is so much closer afterwards, and you just feel like, you know, you've cleared the air, everything feels better, you're back to how you were. And I think often like little grudges or just little things can just add up and add up and add up, and that is not healthy. So if something like that has happened, don't be afraid to call somebody out or chat to somebody about it, because honestly, it's so much better than let it. And also, I'm one of those people where I've probably let people walk all over me in the past. So If you're quiet and shy like me, don't be afraid to just be like, hey, can we have a little chat? I don't know, that's like when people hear that phrase, can we have a little chat? It's like fear, but sometimes you gotta do it to save your friendship. So do it. I know it's scary. I know you don't want to do it. We're gonna talk about things. Okay, I feel like we need like a little light-hearted one to, make things a little bit better. So my next life advice is, if you're going to the toilet, especially in a public toilet, check for toilet paper first, because you do not want to get caught out with no toilet paper. And girls, it's good to carry a tissue or like a handkerchief, or just have something in your bag just in case you do get caught out and you forget. Just always check for toilet paper. You never know. The next thing is, do you really need to buy that? And I feel like nowadays, I can't talk. Social media is my job, and your girl has got to earn some sort of money somehow to be able to create this content for you guys full time. I got to feed the horses. I've got to pay my mortgage. But do you really need to buy that thing? Like, I'm guilty of it. I'll be scrolling on by, be like, oh, this thing looks cool. This looks pretty. Oh, I like this. Think to yourself. If it's like a huge purchase, I'll be like, I'm going to give myself a week, 2 weeks to really think about this, especially if it's a really big one. I'm a bit of a researcher. Like, when I got my new watch, I looked at all the different models. I compared them all. I watched all the different reviews. I know not everybody has time for that, but I geek out on some things like that. But sometimes it's like, oh, that's like a really cute new pair of shoes. Oh, I really want to get them. Just think to yourself, do I need them? Do I have space for them in my wardrobe? Do I need this gadget that everybody is saying is life-changing? Is it really life-changing? So think to yourself, do I really need to buy it before you make a purchase? And often, sometimes, if it's been in your... Actually, this is kind of sad, but there are sometimes where something's in your cart for a week and then it goes out of stock and you're like, oh, I should have bought it then. But this is not the life advice I'm saying. I'm saying put it in your cart, think of it for a week. And if that's actually something, it's a little method I do when I'm shopping. If I like something, I'll like look at it and be like, I like that and I'm coming back for you. And if I've walked around the whole shop and I've forgotten about it, then it probably wasn't that important and I probably didn't need to get it. So anyway, just think to yourself, do I really need to buy this thing? Because our planet is full of a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff to go around. And sometimes we don't need the new things. Confidence is a trick. And I've said this before, as somebody who used to be very unconfident, and now she talks half an hour each week and overshares about her life on the internet. But confidence it's something that just everyone, you're not born with it. You just have to make it up. And if you are just your happiest, jolliest, positive, chatty, most self, then you can do it. And often a lot of people, when they meet new people, it's like that kind of weird, like, oh, where do we vibe? Or just pretend everyone's your best friend. Honestly, it works. It works super well in my life. That's when I go to influencer or content creator events and there are loads of random people that probably have more followers than me, probably more successful than me, have loads of friends at these events and are chatting to them. I just go up to random people and be like, hi, it's me, nice to meet you. Ask them about their day. Just honestly, just act like everyone's your best friend. When you're chatting to someone, make the first move. Be the first person to put a love heart emoji. I don't care, because often there are some people, and they do that with me. Like, if I don't know someone very well and they're like, send me a little love heart emoji. Sorry, this sounds like I'm just like, sending love to loads of people. Not like that, but you know what I mean? In a friendly way. Often if somebody sends me, love heart emoji first, I'm like, wow, they're super nice. They're super cute. They're super friendly. I don't think, oh, our friendship is not at that level yet. How dare they send me a love heart emoji? Ew, gross. And a lot of people, they're waiting for you to make the first move, like the first hug or the first, like, I don't know, chat. So don't be afraid to be that person. If you're at a new school or a new college or a new workplace, just go and say hey to everyone. Ask them about their day. And a lot of people are self-obsessed and they like to talk to themselves. So if you can ask them a question, then they do the rest of the work. So honestly, confidence is the trick, and don't be afraid to make the first move. Okay, this is a little bit more deep, but you have to let go of your old life to make room for your new one. A lot of the time, especially I feel like in your 20s, because I'm now kind of like in my 20s, your life is going to change a lot. You're probably going to move away from home. You're not in school anymore. You've got a job, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you've lost friendships as you've grown apart, and that's kind of sad. But also, it means that you make room for new people that are probably more like-minded, or maybe more on the same level as you, and that is okay. That is one thing that I really kind of struggled with when I lost, I don't know, this is getting too deep, we're not talking about that, but when I lost Mickey, it felt like, I don't know, there's lots of different things in life where life has moved on and I've kind of been all right, like, I don't know, moving out or finishing school, or I was like, okay, I'm ready for the next adventure, I'm ready for the next thing. But that was the first thing where I was like, oh, I've just lost my whole childhood. So, yes, your life is going to feel like it's going to fall apart. But also, there's so many new people that I'm going to meet in the future. There's so many amazing things that I'm going to do. And sometimes you have to say goodbye to your old life, and that can be sad. But your new life, you're going to have some cool memories as well. And that goes on to my next one, because we're going to keep it positive. And that is, you will never be in this moment again. And appreciate it. Because sometimes I think, oh, how fun would it be to just go back to school and have a day at school again with all of my friends, and just like, I know that like past me would have been like, you want homework? You want to go back to your maths lessons? You want to sit on the stinky school bus with all the kids screaming? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have the worries that I have now. It'll be just, it's a novelty, it's different. But actually, one day, what you're living now, you will look back on and you'll be like, wow, they were the good old days. Like, I know that, me and my dad now, with the channel, woo, he's waving in the background. You can't see because he's behind the camera, but we're probably not going to have, obviously I want to try and do this for as long as possible, but one day we're going to look back and be like, oh, do you remember that trip to New York that we did? Or do you remember that horse show that we did? Or do you remember that time we were on the road and we were laughing about this song that we were listening to? Just like little things like that. And even now, like I have nostalgia from last week. Like when my brother was home for the weekend and went for this nice walk. This weekend he's not home. Kind of sad. But just little things like that. You will look back on now, this moment now, and be like, oh, I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back and spend time with my friends or my pets or my family. So just remember, you are living in the good old days right now. So remember that. Remember that, because one day you'll wish you went back, and all the little things that annoy you and all the little worries and things that you have, you'll be like, you know what? It'll be quite fun. Just like, oh, I always think how fun it would be to be a kid again on Christmas morning. Just like little things like that. And that is, okay, the next one is the small moments are sometimes the big ones. Like this, I kind of have already said this, but when you look back, you don't think, oh, I remember when I won this award and it was the best moment ever. Like when I look back at when I look back at when we reached 1 million subscribers, I don't look at that and be like, that was the best moment in my channel career. I think of, oh, do you remember when we went and filmed this video with this person? It was so much fun. Or do you remember when I was editing this video all night and I was so proud of it by the end and I was so excited to publish it? It's little things like that you kind of remember most. It's not the big accomplishments. It's that when you think back and be like, oh, that was a good day, or oh, that was a good time. They're often just little things like messing around with your friends at the beach, or you don't go, oh yeah, like maybe this is just me, but I don't go look back at my time with my horses and go, oh yeah, do you remember when I won that first place Rosette, or do you remember when I won this or that? I go, oh, do you remember when we went to the forest and there was this dog and it made Casper jump, and when he jumped, he farted when he leaped up in the air. Like, okay, that's not like a big thing, but just like little things like that, I look back on and smile at. And I think, I don't know, farting horses probably is not the thing that everyone thinks of when they look back in their life, but it's little things like that are the funny ones, and they're the little moments and the big moments. Next, we're going to go on to your spoonful matters. And you might think, Esme, what is this quote? What do you mean by this spoonful matters? Now, the other day I was at an event and I was chatting to this guy and we were talking about, again, we're getting quite deep. We're talking about the state of the environment, how bad everything is, and, wish things could get better, or like the world seems like such a negative place, you know what I mean. And we were like talking about, in the world, some people have a little teaspoon of positivity or change or goodness or something they can put out into the universe, be like, I'm putting out my little spoonful of positivity. And if you think of the world as a big soup, I don't know if this is getting really like kind of weirdly descriptive. The world is a big soup. And in life, some people, they have a whole ladle. They have all this power and they can put a whole ladle full of positivity or negativity or change into the big old soup. Some people, they have a whole pot they can pour into the whole cauldron of soup. But at the end of the day, if you only have a teaspoon, and it's okay to be frustrated that you only have a teaspoon and you can't really, compared to these guys with their big old ladles, you're like, what is this even doing? But what you've got to remember is there are so many people out there with just a little teaspoon. Some people only have a little thimble. But you got to remember, if everybody puts in their little positive teaspoon, then that cauldron will have a better, more positive soup. So you might think, oh, there's no point me putting my little teaspoon in. It's not going to make a difference. But it will. Because if everybody makes a little positive teaspoon, then the world will get better. So just remember, your positive teaspoon matters. People are going to listen to this. Let me write down in the comments, your positive teaspoon matters. Because people who read through the comments before they've listened to the whole episode, they're going to be like, what is this positive teaspoon? What is everyone going on about? I love reading your guys' comments. So there we go. Your teaspoonful matters. Okay, next is care less what people think. And I know we've kind of touched on this already, and I know it's such a thing that everybody says. Do I remember in 2014 on the 7th of January when I was waiting in a post office what the lady in the queue behind me looked like, what she was wearing, if she had a pimple on her face, if she had a stain on her t-shirt, what was going through her life? No. Do I remember at the theme park the couple behind me, what they looked like, what they were doing, what they were wearing? No. People are so self-obsessed and they're always thinking about themselves. So a lot of the time, they don't care. I can't remember if a girl at school had braces or not. And like, do you know what I mean? Life moves on. Life changes. People don't care. And like some people might be like, that's kind of sad. Nobody cares. But think of it as a positive thing. Nobody cares. So wear what you want. Do you? So yeah, people do not care as much as you think. But also, if people do have a problem, then this is a little saying I say to myself. I say, that is a them problem. I have a little story about this. So the other day, I was at a horse show and this guy came into the media centre, and right off the bat, I just could tell this was a him problem. I can't even remember what he was upset about. There was a photographer that stood in front of him, even though the press were in the little press pen. I don't know. He was upset that somebody got in the way of his photos, something along the lines. He went berserk. He was shouting. He was swearing. He was threatening to headbutt people. He was very angry, very upset. And I kind of realised, and most people, like, if you had this angry man shouting at you, I don't know, maybe I've just become so numb because I'm a child of the internet. I've grown up seeing people's comments. You know when people say, I don't understand people that say, oh yeah, I would love to be a mind reader as my superpower. You already have that. Go on the internet and look at the comments. People just speak what's on their mind and they do not care. So now, when I was younger, if somebody shouted at me, I would be so upset. It would really, really affect me, especially, I don't know, working in service jobs or that kind of thing. People shout at you. It would really upset me. But now I'm like, it's a them problem. I'm just trying my best. I'm doing my best. People are going to make mistakes or whatever. But this guy, I could tell it was a him problem. He was having a bad day. Maybe something triggered him, upset him, whatever. I don't think he should have probably shouted at people and said that he was going to headbutt them. But, just think of it, like, a lot of the time, if somebody's really upset or really worked up like that, it's probably a them problem. And a lot of the time, they're projecting their own insecurities or their own unhappiness. And I think that's one of the reasons how like I managed to get through secondary school while people were mean to me or while I was bullied. I had a very old shoulders on my head. What's the phrase? Anyway, I was an old soul. I kind of realized these people that were being mean to me or horrible to me, it was a them problem. And I think a lot of the time, if somebody says something really horrible to you, you can just go, oh, it's interesting that you think that way. Do you feel that way about yourself? And just like, I don't know, maybe that's what I would have told my sassier younger self. Don't take that life advice, don't think that. But you can think of it in your head a lot of the time. If you have a little snarky comment or a little snarky remark, think of it in your head. Don't say it out loud, because a lot of the time it's just going to make it worse. But if you think it to yourself, it can make you chuckle. And you can just think, that person, that is a you problem. Now this one is going to be one for the girls, for people who have periods. I know we don't really talk about this stuff. It's a little bit TMI. It's still family friendly channel, but if you are somebody that has period, just remember, if you're having a really bad day, a really awful day, and the world feels like it's ending and everything feels like it's going wrong and you hate yourself and everything is rubbish, just take a minute, check where you are in your cycle. Because I have this thing, and me and my friends, we were actually talking about it the other day. It's always a couple of days before your period starts. Everything just feels like it's falling to pieces. It's not. Your brain is just full of hormones right now. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Give it a couple of days. You're not going wild or crazy or mental. Your period is just coming. And once, I don't know if anybody else like this, but then once I get it, I feel like a whole new person. It's brilliant. Life feels great again. Feels like I can smell the rose. I don't know. Life just feels amazing. And it's like, oh my gosh, the clouds have gone. The sun is out. Just remember, just check your cycle every now and again, because sometimes it does mess you up. And that's okay. Just take a breather. Be like, oh, that's it. That's why life feels so bad right now. That is that old chestnut. And it happens every month. And you think, why is my life falling apart? And you're like, it's that. It's that. Okay. It's all right. It's going to be okay. Just need to get through this day and then you're all right. So just a little reminder. Check your cycle. Anyway, moving on. Because I know only half the population. Actually, let's switch that around. Half of the population go through this. Dad, you can't say that. You can't say that. That is not part of the... My dad just said you could argue that the other half of the population go through it as well. No, you can't say that. That is not good. No, naughty. Okay. Okay, let's make it positive again. And that is, the world is better than you think. Actually, no, we'll do a different one first. We'll come back to that. We'll do, the world is not black and white. I think when you go on the internet nowadays, everything feels so divided. Views nowadays seem so extreme from either sides. And I don't want to get political or anything. This could be like literally about anything. For example, there's a video about somebody walking their dog or something random like that. And there'll be people being like, oh, you should do this, and this. And everyone else would be like, why are you attacking them? It's their dog. This, and this. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh. And I've come to the conclusion, social media has become pretty extreme lately, because all the things that I feel like come up while I'm scrolling through on my For You page or stuff like that, the videos that pop up with the most amount of views, the most amount of comments, is because it's probably something that's not these things aren't necessarily always controversial, but there will be a whole comment thread of people having an argument. And it just makes the world feel like such a divided or such an angry place, because these videos are getting all these views because they're getting all these engagements because everyone's having a argument in the comments, and it's like, what is going on? What is going on? Why is everyone so upset? I mean, the world is not a great place. Don't get me wrong, there's some bad stuff going on. But calm down, people. Goodness me, go outside and touch some grass. Goodness. But I would say the world is not so black and white. I think a lot of the time, somebody does something wrong, everyone's like, that is an evil person, cancelled. But obviously, if somebody does something absolutely awful and unforgivable, that's a different, I'm talking about different things here. But also, some people that you might be like, they're the most perfect, sweetest, lovely person. They've probably done some wrong stuff in the past. They're probably not perfect. They probably made mistakes. I think the world isn't as black and white as you think it is. So take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I would say the world is probably not as black and white as it seems. People just like to get rolled up on social media. And a lot of the time, I'd say most people, they're a bit more chill. It's the angry people that probably make up a very small percentage, but they're very loud. They're very loud and very angry. So remember that. And that goes on to our next one, which is the world is a better place than you think it is. And I think, again, with social media, the news, we hear about all this awful stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of awful stuff going on. But we don't hear that much about the good news stories. We don't hear as much about this guy that saved someone's life, or this amazing charity that's changing people's lives, or the scientists that are making groundbreaking progress in just like little things like coming up with bacteria that eats plastic. So there's going to be less plastic in the ocean. Just like little things like that, little wins we don't hear as much about, because do you know what gets the clicks? Do you know what gets the views? Do you know what gets people watching? Scaremongering and horrible things, because that's a lot more shocking. You hear about a good news story like, oh, that charity's doing some nice stuff. You're probably not going to think about it, worry about it, that kind of thing. But if you hear, oh, there's all this awful stuff happening here, you're probably going to be worrying about all the awful stuff. So the world is a better place than you think, and there are a lot of lovely people out there, but it's the awful ones that you remember, and the awful ones that get a lot of attention. So remember that. Next up is you are the only person that knows your whole story. You're the only person that has been with you 24/7. So you're the only person that's lived the life experiences that you have, that've been through the stuff that you have. Like my brother, technically, I've known him his whole life because he's younger than me, so he is younger than me. But am I with him every single second of phone's off on set. Oh my goodness, the embarrassment. Goodness me, I forgot to put my Do Not Disturb on. I'm sorry, everybody. Amateur hour. We're only number 3 in the leisure podcasts this week, but for some reason, I forgot to tell my phone. Sorry, that was a little flex on you guys. I did want to say that, but I forgot to say it. But I just want to say thank you for, liking the podcast, because we're number 3 this week in the charts once again. But anyway, yeah, everyone is, maybe this is another life advice. Everyone's just winging it, I forgot to put my Do Not Disturb on, even though this is an alright doing podcast. Still have amateur hour every now and again. That's okay. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm not with my brother every single hour of every single day. I don't know everything that he's been through. I mean, I know a lot about him. He's my brother. We've literally grown up in the same house almost our whole life together. We don't live together anymore, but you don't know somebody's whole story. And that's okay. You don't know the whole story, but also nobody knows your whole story. And I think a lot of the time we see little fragments or little things in people's lives and we can judge them for it or that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you don't know their whole story. And remember that. Next up is fruits aren't always in harvest all year round. And I think a lot of the time we kind of want that instant gratification. We're trying this new thing. We're working hard at this new thing. And we're like, yes, give me that apple. I want it now. When actually things and success and life, it takes time. It takes time to grow. It takes time to learn. And often the best things in life, they take a lot of time, a lot of effort. There's going to be days where things aren't great. There's going to be days where things are great. But fruit is not in season all year round. And you've got to remember that. Because there are going to be days where things, I don't know, maybe this is just having a business. There are going to be days where things, I have months where business is looking brilliant. Whoop whoop. Next month, not so good. But then the next month could be great. So just remember, and that goes for life in general. It's not always apple season. Your fruit is not always in harvest. Okay, I think we are getting to the end. I have probably sprinkled a few extra ones in there. I was going to do one like each, like this is number 1, this is number 2. But I feel like that doesn't really give as much of like a happy, chatty kind of vibe that I was going for with today's podcast episode. So I think I've done about 24. I've put 24 on here. There maybe has been a few that I've missed out. For a little extra one, if you're sitting on public transport, look at the chair before you sit down, because you do not want to sit down on a wet chair. I might have, that might be from experience. So that is another little life advice for you, just to lighten it up at the end. And on that note, I think we're going to finish today's podcast episode there, because that's been a lot to take in. I feel like my brain has been bouncing around here, there and everywhere. Again, take all of this life advice with a pinch of salt. These are just some things that I've learned over the last 24 years. And I don't like saying that, because 24 seems like a real serious age. And I know there's going to be people listening to this that are in their 40s and they're like, Esme, grow up. What do you, well, I am, I'm growing up, it's my birthday next week. But you might be thinking, Esme, grow up. What do you mean 24 is still so young? And it is. I think, I don't know, as I've got older, I feel younger. And I know that probably feels wrong. I don't know, maybe it's like the Taylor Swift quote, I knew everything at 18, but nothing at 22. I feel like that's kind of right. You feel like, oh, brilliant, I'm an adult, woo, let's go. And then you're like, oh, wow, I'm now a baby adult and I'm starting at like level 1 again. And I'm still working my way up, and there's a long way to work myself up to. So anyway, on that note, we're going to finish it there. I apologise for any of the quotes that were mildly or severely cringe. I know some of them are probably very oversaid or overspoken, but you know what? People say these things, and I've had all these things said to me, but it's only through life experience and making mistakes that these things have really kind of hit home, be like, oh, that's what people mean when they say that quote. So anyway, on that note, I am going to wrap it up now. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. I will try not to cry on my birthday this year. I don't know, as I got older, my birthday feels more like a weird thing that I don't really like. I used to love it when I was younger, and now I'm older, it's like, I feel weird. It makes every year you kind of reevaluate all of your life decisions and choices and where you are in life. But wherever you are in life, you're doing all right. I'm proud of you, and I hope you have a lovely day. I'll see you all next time. Bye!